Hi, I'm Amanda, and my sister Sarah has always been known as the golden child. My parents constantly prioritized her above me, even though she was 3 years my junior. I mean, they weren't completely indifferent to me. All they could do was favor her. Everyone on the debate team smiled and nodded when I was named to it. The cheerleading squad celebrated Sarah's arrival with a celebration. We visited the outlet mall whenever I required new clothing. Sarah would go on a shopping binge at the posh stores downtown whenever she needed new clothes. In many ways, Dad was the same. He took Sarah to the park on Saturdays, bought her ice cream, and would spend hours pushing her on the swings. On occasion, I would accompany them, following a few steps behind, and observe the bouncing of their dark hair as they laughed at jokes that I wasn't in on. It was almost made worse because Sarah wasn't harsh about it. She refrained from being condescending or trying to bring me down. While I learned to flourish in the background, she stood there, a charming little sponge, taking up all the attention. Our connection was pleasant. It wasn't close, but neither of us felt threatened. Our relationship was delicately balanced, like two planets in orbit around the sun. We were never in danger of crashing, but we also were never truly connected. Because I couldn't receive the support I needed at home, I dove headfirst into my studies. Toiled away, but Sarah was happy to rely on her charisma and our parents' pampering. I erected a fortress around my heart with every A+, academic honor, and word of praise from my teachers. Teachers would compliment Amanda on her maturity level, telling my parents this at conferences. Such a dedicated student. After giving Sarah a friendly smile and a helping hand with her homework or consoling her over a small social drama, my parents would quickly head home. Things were the way they were, and I fooled myself into thinking I could live with that. In hindsight, I should have recognized the warning signals. The way Sarah's grin would narrow in triumph when I accomplished something she failed to do. The jealousy that flashed across her face whenever our parents looked at me. The subtle way she'd redirect conversations to herself whenever I was in the spotlight. But I was too busy trying to prove myself. Too focused on being the perfect daughter, even if I could never be the favorite one. I thought if I just worked hard enough, achieved enough, maybe one day they'd see me. Really see me for who I was. College was my escape. Finally, a place where hard work actually meant something. Where being the responsible one was an asset rather than a consolation prize. I got into State University with a partial scholarship. All those straight as finally paid off. I threw myself into campus life with the same intensity I'd applied to high school. While other freshmen were struggling to adjust, I was thriving. I joined the business club, made the dean's list, and landed an internship at Preston and Associates, one of the top financial firms in the city. "You're a natural," my supervisor told me during my internship evaluation. "We'd love to have you join us full-time after graduation." I practically floated home that day. For once, everything was falling into place according to my plans, not anyone else's expectations. Meanwhile, Sarah started college 3 years after me. Mom and Dad paid her full tuition, set her up in a fancy apartment near campus, and gave her a monthly allowance that was more than I made at my part-time job. "Your sister needs to focus on the college experience," Dad explained when I pointed out the disparity. "You're different. You actually enjoy studying." He wasn't wrong. While I was building my future, Sarah was building her social media following. Her Instagram was full of party photos and spring break adventures. Every time I visited home, she had a new story about some crazy night out. "You should come party with us sometime," she'd say, knowing full well I was too busy with my internship and studies to join her. After graduation, Preston and Associates made good on their offer. I started as a junior analyst and rented a small but decent apartment downtown. It wasn't much, but it was mine, earned with my own hard work. That's where I met James. He was the financial director. Tall, clean-cut, with kind eyes and a quiet confidence that made my heart skip. We started running into each other in the break room, then at company happy hours. Finally, he asked me to dinner. When he proposed 6 months later, I was over the moon. He did it properly, down on one knee at our favorite restaurant, with a ring that must have cost him at least 3 months' salary. I couldn't wait to tell my family. We arranged a dinner at my parents' house. Sarah, who'd recently graduated and moved back home, would be there too. She'd been working some entry-level marketing job, though from her social media, it seemed like she spent more time at happy hours than at her desk. The dinner started well enough. Mom made her famous pot roast. Dad opened his best wine. James charmed them all with stories about his work and plans for the future. "Amanda really lucked out with you," Mom gushed, touching James's arm. "Such a responsible young man. They make such a perfect couple," Dad agreed, beaming at us. "When's the wedding?" For once, all the attention was on me, and it felt amazing. But across the table, Sarah sat picking at her food, her face growing darker with each passing minute. I caught her staring at my engagement ring, her lips pressed into a thin line. Every time James spoke, she would roll her eyes slightly or shift uncomfortably in her chair. James and I decided not to rush into the wedding. We started looking at venues on weekends, discussing color schemes over dinner, and dreaming about our future together. I'd never been happier. That all changed on a Tuesday evening. I remember it was Tuesday because I had just finished my weekly video call with my wedding planner. I was still in my work clothes when James knocked on my door. Something was off. He usually texted before coming over, and his face was like a thundercloud. "We need to talk," he said, pushing past me into the apartment. His voice was cold, nothing like the warm, gentle tone I was used to. "What's wrong?" I asked, my stomach already knotting with anxiety. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling. "Care to explain these?" My heart stopped as he showed me photo after photo. There I was, or someone who looked like me, in compromising positions with different men. Screenshots of explicit text conversations filled his screen, all allegedly from me to various guys. "James, that's not. I never." My voice shook as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. "These are fake. I've never cheated on you." "Fake?" He laughed bitterly. "Your own sister sent these to me, so you're saying Sarah made all this up? Created fake photos and messages just to break us up? Why would she do that?" "I don't know why she'd do this, but James, please look at my phone." I scrambled to grab it from the coffee table. "Check everything. There's nothing like this on there. I've never cheated on you." "Don't bother." He cut me off, stepping back when I tried to hand him my phone. "I trusted you, Amanda. I thought you were different, but you're just like all the others, a lying, cheating traitor." "James, please," I begged, tears streaming down my face. "You know me. You know I wouldn't do this." But his eyes were cold and distant. "We're done. Don't try to contact me again." The door slammed behind him with a finality that shattered my world. I tried calling him immediately. Straight to voicemail. Text messages wouldn't go through. Emails bounced back. He blocked me everywhere. I collapsed onto my couch, my whole body shaking with sobs. How could this be happening? How could he believe I would cheat on him? And Sarah, my own sister, had done this to me. The hours blurred together as I cried until I had no tears left. My phone kept lighting up with concerned messages from friends and coworkers. Apparently, James had already started spreading the word about my infidelity. After crying myself to sleep, I woke up the next morning with one purpose: confronting Sarah. My hand shook as I dialed her number, half expecting her to ignore the call. But she picked up on the second ring. "Well, if it isn't my cheating sister," she answered, her voice dripping with mock sweetness. "Why did you do it?" My voice cracked. Why would you fake those photos and messages? She laughed, actually laughed. The sound made my blood run cold. Oh, come on, Amanda. Did you really think I'd let you have your perfect little happily ever after? You, married to a successful, handsome guy like James? Please, what are you talking about? You don't deserve him. Her voice suddenly turned vicious. You don't deserve any of it? The perfect job, the perfect fiancé. Who do you think you are? I felt like I'd been slapped. Sarah, we're sisters. Sisters, she sneered. Please, you're nothing but second best, Amanda. You always have been, and you always will be. Did you really think you'd get to marry someone like James before me? That's not how this works. In that moment, 25 years of sisterhood shattered. All those memories, the shared rooms, whispered secrets, forced smiles at family gatherings, they all took on a different meaning. Every eye roll, every backhanded compliment, every moment of tension suddenly made sense. You've been jealous of me this whole time, I whispered, the realization hitting me like a truck. Jealous? She laughed again. Don't flatter yourself. I'm better than you in every way. I just couldn't stand watching you play house with James when we all know you don't deserve him. I drove to my parents' house that afternoon, desperate for support. Surely they'd believe me. Surely they'd see what Sarah had done. I was wrong. Amanda, honey, Mom said, shaking her head. Why are you trying to blame your sister for your mistakes? But I didn't make any mistakes. I practically shouted. Sarah faked everything. She admitted it to me. Dad crossed his arms. Your sister would never do something like that. Stop trying to shift the blame. If you cheated on James, you need to own up to it. I left their house in a daze. Once again, Sarah was the golden child who could do no wrong, and I was the screw-up who couldn't be trusted. But life wasn't done kicking me while I was down. The next morning, I walked into work only to find my access card denied. Security escorted me to HR, where a sympathetic-looking woman handed me my termination papers. I'm so sorry, she whispered, glancing around to make sure no one could hear. James pushed for immediate termination. He said he couldn't work in the same building as... She trailed off. I didn't even finish reading the paperwork. I just signed it, packed up my desk, and left with my head held high. At least until I got to my car, where I broke down completely. 3 days later, my best friend Jenny called. Amanda, I don't know how to tell you this, but Sarah and James are dating. She's been posting pictures of them together all over Instagram. She's saying she's been helping him heal after your betrayal. I hung up without responding and threw my phone across the room. In the span of a week, I'd lost my fiancé, my job, my family's trust, and now my sister was dating the man she helped me lose. I needed revenge. I missed you, baby. She cooed loud enough for my phone's microphone to pick up. James is so boring compared to you. I collected 3 weeks' worth of videos. Sarah and Mike making out against his car. Sarah sneaking out of his house at odd hours. The two of them laughing over expensive champagne on his patio, probably paid for with James's credit card. Then came the engagement party. Sarah insisted on having it at our parents' house. It's more intimate, she said, though really she just wanted to show off to the whole family. James had proposed with a ring twice the size of the one he'd given me. The house was packed with relatives, friends, and James's entire family. Sarah held court in the living room, showing off her ring to anyone who'd look. Mom and Dad beamed with pride, while James's parents kept commenting on what a perfect couple they made. I'd like to make a toast, I announced, standing up during a lull in the conversation. All eyes turned to me. Sarah shot me that superior look I'd grown so used to, the same look she'd given me 2 years ago when she'd stolen my fiancé. Poor thing probably thought I was about to give some gracious speech about being happy for them. I have something to share with everyone, I continued, connecting my phone to the TV. A little engagement present, you might say. The first text messages appeared on the screen. Sarah's face went white. What is this? James stood up, squinting at the messages. Oh, just some conversations between your fiancé and her boyfriend, Mike, I said calmly. There's quite a lot of them. They particularly enjoy discussing how boring you are, James. But hey, at least you're rich, right? That's not. Sarah stammered. And here's some video evidence, in case anyone has doubts, I continued. I played the clips one by one. Sarah and Mike kissing. Sarah leaving his house at midnight. Sarah laughing about James while sipping expensive wine. The room erupted into chaos. James was on his feet, roaring at Sarah. His parents were shouting about disgrace and scandal. Our relatives were whispering and pointing. You crazy bastard, Sarah screamed at me. How could you do this? Funny, I replied. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you 2 years ago. Mom collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Dad just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. I didn't stick around for the aftermath. I gathered my things, walked to my car, and drove home in perfect silence. Inside my apartment, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my balcony, watching the city lights twinkle. For the first time in 2 years, I felt completely at peace. My phone rang at 7 a.m. the next morning. Mom's name flashed on the screen. How could you humiliate your sister like that? She screamed before I could even say hello. James called off the engagement. She's devastated. You need to fix this right now. Fix what exactly? I asked calmly. The fact that she cheated. The fact that she got caught. Or maybe you want me to fix the fact that she's finally facing consequences for her actions. She's your sister. Dad's voice came on the line. They had me on speaker. Family protects family. You will fix this, or wait. I cut him off. Or you'll what? Take her side again. Go ahead. I'm used to it. I hung up and blocked their numbers. I needed coffee before dealing with any more family drama. But I hadn't even finished my first cup when someone started pounding on my apartment door. Open up, you damned bastard. Sarah's voice echoed through the hallway. I took my time walking to the door, unlocked it, and stepped back as she burst in. You ruined everything. She screamed, mascara running down her face. You ruined my life. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? I took another sip of coffee. I'm going to make you pay for this. She grabbed a framed photo from my wall and threw it at me. I dodged it easily. Like you made me pay 2 years ago, I asked quietly, when you fabricated evidence of me cheating, when you destroyed my relationship, when you took James for yourself. She froze, realization dawning on her face. You planned this, all of it, the whole time. 2 years, I confirmed. 2 years of watching and waiting. 2 years of playing the forgiving sister. 2 years of knowing that sooner or later you'd show your true colors. You're insane, she whispered. No, Sarah, I'm patient, and unlike you, I only needed real evidence to get my revenge. She ran from my apartment like she'd seen a ghost. The weeks that followed were a parade of guilt-tripping messages from my parents. Sarah's lost her job due to emotional distress. She's not eating, not sleeping. She's moved back home and spends her days crying in her old bedroom. You've destroyed your sister, Mom texted. Are you happy now? I didn't respond. What was there to say? Dad tried a different approach. If you don't make this right, you're out of the will. Is that what you want? I finally replied to that one. Do whatever you want with your money. I've already got what I wanted, the truth. Their reaction to that response was negative, but I felt liberated from their judgment for the first time ever. My professional life was taking off, but my personal life was a complete mess. With the promotion to senior director, a new office, and a sizable salary increase. Morrison Financial has showered me with accolades. Meanwhile, Sarah reached her lowest point. She returned to live with our parents after she lost her marketing career. The drinking began at that point. The truth was revealed during one of her inebriated moments. I learned about it later from my mom. How Sarah had begun to babble while reclined on the couch, halfway through a bottle of wine. Showed him those pictures she had mumbled out, added them all together, identified a girl who resembled Amanda. I had someone assist me in making up the texts. He was unworthy of her anyhow. He was more deserving of me. In the course of one drunken night, 2 years of deceit crumbled. The very following day, my emotionally charged father gave me a call. "We need to have a conversation, Amanda. Will you be able to make it over here?" They appeared to have aged 10 years in the space of a night as I entered the living room and found them sitting there. "We were mistaken," Dad stated plainly. "Regardless of what, it's been a long time since we were wrong." My mom started crying. In what ways were we unable to notice it? How were we so oblivious? "We let you down." I'd waited my entire life to hear that apology, and it finally came. However, I simply felt exhausted rather than victorious. There is less noise in my life right now. On Sundays, my parents and I share dinner. We still have our share of tense moments and stubborn habits, so we're far from ideal. Yet we are making an effort. Plus, we achieved more than in the past. Having exposed Sarah, I have no regrets. What I see as justice is what others may call vengeance. The decisions she made have now become a reality. When it comes to my own situation, I couldn't be happier. I am enjoying a truly flourishing career. Home is where the heart is. I also no longer feel like someone is better than me, which is a first.